Darkness pressed in, heavy, like a physical weight. I was floating, or maybe sinking, hard to tell. No light, no sound, just a vast empty black. My first thought was a shallow one. Am I dead? The silence offered no answer. It just was. A thick, suffocating blanket over everything. I tried to take a breath. My lungs felt tight, constricted, as if they'd forgotten how to work, or something was stopping them. Then a flicker, not of light, but of feeling. Cold, so incredibly cold. It wasn't the air. This was a deeper chill. It seeped into my skin, right down to the bone. A metallic taste coated my tongue, bitter, unpleasant. I tried to move my hand, to wipe my mouth. Nothing. My arm wouldn't respond. Panic, cold and sharp, began to prickle at the edges of my awareness. I was trapped, not just in darkness, but within my own unresponsive body. Slowly, sensation returned. Not gently. It crashed over me. Pain. A blinding, searing agony that ripped through my torso. It wasn't a surface wound. This was deep, inside, as if my very core was on fire. I gasped, or tried to. A strangled noise escaped my lips. My eyes, still useless in the pitch black, squeezed shut against the onslaught. The cold I'd felt before was nothing. This pain was a living thing. Twisting, tearing, it consumed every thought. My limbs, I could feel them now, heavy, pinned. I strained against unseen bonds, leather straps tight, cutting into my wrists, my ankles. Panic flared hotter. I was restrained, helpless, on a hard, flat surface. It felt like metal, cold metal, under my bare back. The air itself was stale, thick with the smell of antiseptic. And something else, something coppery, something that made my stomach churn. Blood, the faint, unmistakable scent of old blood. My head throbbed, a dull, persistent hammer. Each beat echoed the larger pain in my gut. I forced my eyes open. Still darkness, but maybe not absolute. Was that a faint line of light under a door? Too far, too indistinct. I blinked, trying to clear the fog. Details were like smoke, slipping away as I reached for them. Where was I? The question pounded in my skull. How did I get here? No answers came, just a cold, hollow dread. I focused on the pain, the burning, the tearing. It was centered, low in my abdomen. A line of fire. I strained my neck, just an inch, enough to feel the pull of sutures, stitches. Dozens of them, rough, jagged, like a clumsy butcher's work. My skin felt tight, stretched, alien. This wasn't a memory, this was now. This agony was fresh, raw. Someone had cut me open, but why? What had they done to me? The agony wasn't just pain, it was more. It pulsed, throbbed with a rhythm that felt foreign, not my own heartbeat. It was a deep, resonant ache, a sorrowful weight, as if the flesh itself mourned. This wasn't the clean pain of a simple injury. This felt infected, not with disease, but with something else, something intangible, a despair that settled deep within the wound, a blooming horror unfurling in the darkness inside me. My mind raced, scrambling for purchase, for any piece of information. Who would do this and leave me here, strapped down, in the dark? The stitches weren't just stitches, I knew that now. The pain wasn't clean, it was dirty, contaminated. Something else pulsed beneath the raw wound, a foreign rhythm, a cold, unwelcome beat in the symphony of my suffering. It felt like an intruder, lodged deep within my gut, breathing with borrowed lungs. My own heart hammered a frantic tattoo against my ribs, a counterpoint to that other, slower pulse. This new presence felt old, ancient, and filled with a despair that wasn't mine. I tried to focus, to pinpoint the source, but the agony was a blinding fog. It radiated outwards, a dark star of misery. From somewhere deep inside my violated abdomen, a tremor ran through me, not from cold. This was different. A shudder originating from that alien core, then a flash, not of light, but of something else. A glimpse of rain-slicked cobblestones, the glint of steel, a woman's scream swallowed by the night. It vanished as quickly as it came, leaving me breathless and colder than before. The shadows on the walls seemed to deepen, to writhe like trapped things. Were they always there, or was my mind, my sight, now tainted too? This place, this room, felt alive, breathing with a malevolence I couldn't comprehend. The air grew heavier, thicker. Each breath was a struggle, as if the darkness itself sought to suffocate me. Another sensation bloomed, higher up beneath my ribs. A dull, throbbing ache, but this one carried a different flavor of despair. Not the sharp terror of the cobblestones. This was a slow burn, a grinding hopelessness, the residue of a life given up, of endless, quiet suffering. It felt heavy, like a lead weight pressing down. Then another vision, or a memory, not mine, never mine. Faded wallpaper peeling, a small, dusty room. Sunlight struggled through a grimy window. A man's hunched shoulders, his face unseen, but the weight of his sorrow filled me, crushed me. It was an old pain, familiar to whoever owned this piece of me, this stolen part. My hand, still bound, twitched. I wanted to claw at my chest, to rip out this foreign sorrow, this invasive grief. A single tear, hot and unexpected, traced a path down my temple. My tear or his? The lines were blurring, my identity felt porous, leaking away, replaced by these echoes of other lives, other deaths. The realization hit me with the force of a physical blow. These weren't just phantom pains. These weren't just stitches over an empty space. They had put something in me, organs, pieces of other people, each one a vessel, a container for the agony of its previous owner. My body was a graveyard, and the ghosts were stirring. The initial pain in my gut now had company. A burning in my left side, a sharp stabbing sensation near my kidney perhaps. It screamed of sudden violence, betrayal, a knife in the dark. Then a cold dread spreading from my liver, the slow poisoning of hope, each organ a distinct voice in a choir of torment, each throb a memory, each ache a story I didn't want to know, but was forced to feel. The shadows on the walls danced with more vigor now, twisting into grotesque shapes. Were they feeding off this? Off the pain? Off my fear? They stretched and contracted, like the lungs of some vast unseen beast. This room was a canvas, and my transplanted suffering, its paint. The air crackled with a silent electricity. The unseen terrors were becoming visible. I was a patchwork of pain, a quilt of stolen miseries. The weight of it was crushing. The terror of the woman on the cobblestones, the desolate sorrow of the man in the dusty room, the sharp shock of a final betrayal, all churning inside me, a toxic brew, their final moments, their lingering traumas, now mine to bear forever. It was too much. This wasn't healing. This was a curse, a monstrous perversion of medicine. I wasn't just a patient here. I was a container, a repository of suffering, the doctor they mentioned. He hadn't mended me. He had defiled me, filled me with the wreckage of other souls. The shadows writhed. The darkness pulsed, and deep within, the transplanted horrors screamed. The screams quieted, replaced by footsteps. A sliver of light appeared under the door. It widened, spilling harsh light. A tall, lean silhouette filled the doorway, observing. He came into focus. Not a monster, but worse. His eyes were the color of chipped ice. They scanned me, assessing like I was a puzzle he'd already solved. "Ah, you're awake." His voice was soft, a chilling contrast to his eyes and my agony. He moved with a predator's grace, absolute control. In this room, he was God. This was him, the architect of this nightmare. Fear pierced through the pain as I tried to scream. He watched my struggle, a faint smile touching his lips. He moved closer. The scent of antiseptic, sharp and sterile, clung to him. It was a smell I now associated with violation. He tilted his head slightly, still observing me. "The initial disorientation is normal," he said, like a weather report. "The human mind struggles to accept profound change." He seemed entirely unconcerned by my suffering, or perhaps he welcomed it. "Pain," he continued, "most see it as an ailment, something to be eradicated. Pain is an energy, a vital force. It can be redirected, transferred, shared, as if pain itself were a deity he worshipped, and I, its unwilling sacrifice." My mind reeled. These organs are not merely replacements, you see, they are conduits. They carry the echoes of their previous hosts, their traumas. "I'm not merely mending bodies," he proclaimed, "I am healing trauma. You are part of a grand experiment, a new form of empathy, forged in shared suffering." This madman thought this butchery was some noble pursuit. The doctor straightened up. A small, almost satisfied sigh escaped his lips, as if he'd just articulated a beautiful, complex theorem. "You are not the first to receive this gift." He said gift with a strange emphasis. His cold eyes flickered towards a dark corner of the room, or maybe beyond it. "There are others who now understand the true weight of existence." His voice was low, almost conspiratorial, inviting me into his circle of madness. My skin crawled, every nerve ending screamed. He made a subtle gesture towards a wall. It looked solid, but then a section of it seemed to shimmer. Or maybe it was just my eyes. My mind fracturing under the strain, I heard it then, a low moan, faint, full of an unutterable despair. It wasn't mine, it came from somewhere else, somewhere close. Then another, a choked sob. The sounds were barely human, more like the cries of wounded animals, trapped, broken. The gallery he spoke of, my head strained against the restraints. I had to see, I had to know. My gaze fell upon a small, grimy monitor I hadn't noticed before. It flickered to life, showing a grainy, monochrome image. A figure, curled on a bare cot, limbs twisted at unnatural angles. Bandages covered most of its form, but the parts I could see, they were scarred, wasted. Another screen lit up, another broken body. This one was rocking back and forth, a silent, endless motion of pure agony. This was his healing. The scale of his depravity crashed down on me. This wasn't just about me. This was a factory, a production line of torment, each room a cell, each patient a vessel for his twisted vision. How many more were there? How long had this been going on? The foreign organs inside me throbbed in unison, a chorus of shared horror. These weren't just random pains I was feeling. They were the echoes of these other victims, these living dead, and I was now one of them. The doctor's gaze was cold, clinical. He called it a gift. True empathy, he said, the ability to feel the suffering of others. You're healed from isolation, he declared, part of a collective consciousness of agony. But I knew it was a curse, not a gift. My mind screamed in denial. I was tethered to endless torment. I had to escape or be lost forever. His words froze my fear, replaced by a cold resolve. I tested the straps. Leather, bolted but not unbreakable. The agony inside me became strength, not weakness. I pulled harder until a bolt snapped, one hand free, then the other. I stood, uncaged, pain roaring, but hope louder. I was ready to fight. I staggered into the hallway, dim, blood-stained, reeking of death. Each step was agony, but I pressed on. Closed doors lined the corridor, behind them muffled cries. At the far end, an orderly appeared, pushing a cart. He hadn't seen me yet. There was no turning back. My survival depended on action. The first test awaited. The orderly drew closer, humming, oblivious. I pressed against the wall, desperate for a weapon. The cart, my only chance. Rage and fear surged within me, demanding action. I couldn't let him pass, couldn't let him raise the alarm. The moment stretched, ready to snap. It was now or never. I lunged, slamming into him. We crashed to the floor, surgical tools scattered. My hand found a scalpel. He fought, but I was stronger, fueled by borrowed fury. The scalpel flashed, his struggle ended. Silence returned, broken only by my ragged breath. I had killed to survive, no triumph, just grim necessity. I rose, weapon in hand. I was no longer just prey. Scalpel in hand, I followed the agony to its source. Dr. Finch's office, polished, precise, chilling. He sat waiting, unsurprised. "Remarkable," he said, inviting me to sit. I refused. "Your creations don't like being caged, Doctor." He only smiled. Finch called it elevation, not imprisonment. He spoke of empathy, of a new era, his vision grotesque. My grip tightened on the scalpel. "You're insane," I spat. He called me his creation, his prototype. Rage overwhelmed me, the fury of every stolen life. "I'm not your creation," I growled. I lunged, scalpel raised, ready to end it. The office erupted into chaos. He moved faster than I expected, for an older man, for a scholar. He sidestepped my initial lunge, the scalpel sliced through empty air. He grabbed a heavy, ornate letter opener from his desk, not surgical steel, but pointed, dangerous. His eyes, for the first time, lost some of their detachment, replaced by a cold, predatory focus. This wasn't just a doctor, this was a fighter, defending his sanctum, his obscene work. We circled each other, the desk between us a temporary barrier. Books tumbled from shelves as I slammed against them, glass shattered. The pristine order of his office was quickly dissolving into wreckage. He feinted with the letter opener. I parried with the scalpel. Metal scraped against metal. Sparks flew. The transplanted organs inside me were a raging inferno. Each throb of pain fueled my attacks. Their torment became my strength, my desperation. He was relentless, precise, aiming for my wounds, my stitches. The letter opener found my side, a searing pain. I staggered back. A fresh wave of agony washed over me. The room spun. He pressed his advantage, his face a mask of grim determination. Then the spill. In the frenzied struggle, I shoved him hard. He stumbled backwards towards the glass case of surgical instruments. It shattered spectacularly. Tools clattered across the floor. He fell amongst them. His hand slipped on something wet on the floor. He looked down, a small glistening piece of tissue, an organ. His composure finally broke. His eyes widened in something that looked like horror. Blood bloomed on his pristine scrubs, from a shard of glass or from the fall. It was a mess of blood and broken dreams. Finch lay still, a broken architect amidst his shattered kingdom of pain. His office was a ruin, streaked with blood. I stood there, gasping. The scalpel felt fused to my hand. The stitches in my abdomen were a fiery torment. I had to move, get out, before his keepers discovered their master's end. I staggered from the wreck of his office back into those damned corridors. Then a different kind of light, a dim grey wash, filtered through a grimy window, a fire door, heavy, rusted. I threw my remaining strength against it. It was the smell of the outside world, a world I thought I might never see again. I stumbled out into a narrow, rain-slicked alley. Freedom. It tasted of iron and exhaustion and the ghosts inside me. I was out, alive. The city sprawled around me, indifferent to the horrors I carried. I was a walking testament to his theories, a haunted vessel, free from his hospital but forever bound to its nightmare. I was scarred, changed, but breathing. And in the cold dawn, that had to be enough to start again.